Welcome to another edition of Yacht Life Chronicles, where we are better together than separate. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for tuning in to another edition. You know, we got Thor Magazine CEO in the building today, Mr. Jeremy Jackson. How you doing, man?
Man, I'm good, bro. Good to be here with you.
Yeah.
Man. Always a pleasure.
You know, and he stopped the past, man, to visit, man. So what's been going on lately with you, man?
Man, life, you know what I mean? So, you know, it's just life, and you just got to keep on navigating and, you know, like a snake, I'm eventually find where I'm supposed to be, but it's going to take a little time sometimes.
Yeah.
You know?
And Jeremy Jackson, he manages, he manages like 3-4 podcasts. He manages a magazine. He's been doing it for over 20 years. You know, he transitioned from Saginaw and he moved out to Arkansas, you know, with his brand. And what I wanted to ask you, man, you left Saginaw. When you left Saginaw and built Thor Magazine, you built Thor here in Saginaw, right?
Well,
but
yeah, I was gonna let you finish. But technically, it was built like in Arkansas, but it was created in Saginaw.
okay,
So, yeah, it's kind of like Saginaw definitely got a hand in it, no matter what. But,
right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, what was the initial leap like, and how did Saginaw shape your hustle when it came to Thor?
Well, you know, most people know me first off from the Hype magazine, so Thor was like a continuation of it. So before the Hype and before Thor, I was on the mic spitting. You know what I mean? Me, Pope, Dash, rest in peace, Dash. You know, Double M. Then we had a whole bunch of other, you know, cats, man, my crew. You know, I can't mention, it's too many to mention. You know, but from AK to Soldier to Trip. You know what I mean? There's a lot of it. So it helped me, first off, was teamwork, you know what I mean? Because we always working there together to try to reach one goal. You know, that's one thing I feel like a lot of people don't put in their mind state is that they want to reach a goal, but they think they can do it themselves. A lot of times you might need a team. It might not be who you want. You might have to scope to find who you want that fits your mentality, but everybody needs something. And hip hop is one of the main things where nothing gets done by themselves. Whether even if I do it by myself, I need somebody to listen. I need a fan. I need somebody to support. I need somebody. You feel me? So anybody say they did it by themselves, don't listen to it. I hate to say that, but if
Nobody is self-made.
Nobody's self-made as far as the game of hip hop, because even if I sell a million records, that's a million people that believed in me. So that's a million people that rock with me. That's what a lot of people forget, that you need that million. Even if you get 1,000. But the whole thing is, you know, not to be a long story of it, is I started the Hype magazine, and I started the Hype because when I was rapping, I felt like we didn't have enough support. We didn't have enough people telling our stories. You know, 107 them stopped doing stuff about us, and you had to go to Flint to even be on what is it, 98.7 or whatever, I forgot. You had to
93.
93, yeah. You had to go outside of Saginaw to even get anybody to say anything about you. So I remember being at a show one time, and they was like, man, don't nobody from Sag move nowhere. Only one we hear about is Straight. Shout out to the Straight. So I remember that. And that was like 98, 99. That was so far back, you feel me? So when I was doing the magazine, the first thing I did, when I talked to my dog, I said, man, we need somebody on the cover. So this was like 03, 04 then. So at that time, Bone Scandalous was doing his thing. And, you know, we all had love for Bone. You know, he was doing his thing. He was repping hard, repping the city tough. So, you know, I got at Bone, and he said he was with it. You know, whatever he wanted to do to be on the cover. So, you know, that's what made me feel like I could do it at that time. Because at that time, when I first put the first issue out, they didn't have nobody on the cover. It was just a little silhouette that I put up. And when Bone, who at that time didn't have to, he was already known. He was already getting love from everybody. He didn't have to fuck with me. He didn't know me from shit. You know what I mean? Excuse my language, but he didn't know me like that. So when he was like, yeah, that's what gave me the belief that, hey, Bone say, yeah, rock with me. Then
So how was you introduced to him?
Well, at that time, you know, being me, we just jump out. So we was already performing too at shows. So that was another insight that we was performing at shows. So we knew a show that he was going to perform at. And my dog was like, Poe, I think it was Poe, either Poe or Dash was like, man, go holler at him. You know, just go, you know. And at that time, we didn't care, you know, we was all love. Hey, what up, bro? How you doing? And we spoke and talked. And he was real with it. He wasn't no uppity cat. He wasn't no cat that looked down on you or nothing. He was real 100. That's one thing they don't say about him, is that he ain't go and say, hey, treat you like a fan. Hey, what you want, little dog? No, he'd be like, "What's up, bro?" And I told him about the magazine idea. What he do? He shot me his number. You know what I mean? So he gave me his number. You know what I mean? But you know, when I was gonna call him, I called him once and talked to him, and then the next time I was gonna call him to get his set, he ended up getting, you know, untimely death. You know what I mean?
Rest in peace, Bob Scanlon.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So, not to be too long on the story, but I gave up the magazine for a little bit. I said, I didn't. If Bone wasn't gonna be on the cover, I ain't want nobody on the cover at that time. So, just so happened at the job I was at, it was a lady, and she was cool with Cool Herc. So shout out to her. He was the one. So he got at me. He bought the He came and he bought the magazine, and then he was like, "You gonna do something?" You know, he basically was like, because nobody else was doing it. You know what I mean? At that time, I was going block to block, and I was just passing them out. But he came and he bought one. I was like, "Shit, man, that's real." You know what I mean? So he ended up being the first person on the cover, and it just grew from there. That was the Hype magazine. So you know, that was all Saginaw. That was we would go everywhere. You know what I mean? So, but the thought part, the Hype was kind of like a prototype. I feel like anybody, if you're doing something, you want to do something, at least put your feet in the water first and try it. If you feel you can't do it, you don't know until you try. So the Hype magazine was me trying. You feel me? I didn't know nothing about nothing. I ain't had nobody to teach me about nothing. I ain't had nobody to tell me how to put my pages or simple things like where to put the numbers in at the bottom or to put your ThorMagazine.com. I ain't had nobody to talk about indents.
You learned as you went.
I learned as I went. And then there was a cat named David Birnbaum. Everybody used to get their pictures. He had a little shop. Forgot the name, but I can't think of it right now. But he had gave me a little, it was called, Photoshop and all of them, the Creative Cloud is all that now. But at that time, it was on the CDs. And so they helped me out. So again, it was the people that helped me out on my journey to get where I was at. And that's where Saginaw came in, because it was people from Saginaw mainly.
So that's how it helped shape your hustle when you got down to Arkansas.
Exactly. You know what I mean? So everybody say, you know, Saginaw got a lot of hate. It do, but it's a lot of people that got love. And we usually don't focus on the ones that got love. So that's what Thought was. Thought was we focused on the ones that had love. So it overshadowed anybody that didn't have no love for us. So when people say Thought, they always had a great picture in their mind, because anybody that was saying anything negative was overshadowed. You feel me? Long-winded.
So can you tell us how you come up with Thought and what does Thought mean?
Man, you're my baby, man. I done said it a couple of times, but it's kind of weird still when I think about it, because, like I say, when I came up with Thought, it was a little different than the Hype, because I was in a different mind state. When I did the Hype magazine, I was young.
And you was working with a lot of other people.
Exactly. But,
so it wasn't really your own.
Well, it was mine, but how can I say, every time I create something, it's something that happened.
Right.
So Thought was me when I moved to Arkansas. It was a warmer climate. You feel me? So I came down here. This is what I want to say. See, I had been in the Hype magazine when I stopped the Hype was in 2014, right? So from 2014 to 2018, I was kind of in a transition mode, because the Hype, I felt like I supposed to win farther with. Even though it was a prototype, I felt I was supposed to win higher with. But I was still just a motherfucker just off the block passing out little pamphlets at that time. But it was growing to the point where they was inviting me to overseas and other places. But then when my mind expanded to business, I was finding out that it was another magazine called Hype, but it was from Indiana. You feel me? So this is where I'm getting involved in knowing business. I ain't just doing. You feel me?
So like during that time, like who was you looking up to? Like I know a lot of originality was just coming out your own mind, but like was you looking up to like the Source magazine? Was you looking up to Double XL? Did you know who was you looking at to see kind of like how they was formatting their stuff? Like I'm writing a book, so I look at a lot of other books to see how the editing is and different things because you was manually putting your stuff together yourself.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So who was you looking up to? Like one of the magazines that you was applying to your own magazine.
It was like you said, Source, Double XL. At that time, it wasn't nobody here, but I never did look for my inspiration here. Like except for me in the streets, and I see my OGs or something. But like creativity wise, even when I was listening to music, when I started when I was 8 years old, back in the 80s, you know what I mean? I was looking at Twister, I was looking at Run DMC. I was looking at Salt and Pepper, LL. Even though I knew cats that might rhyme around here, I always shot higher in my mind. You feel me? I love what we do, but I feel like you gotta shoot higher. I feel if I'm gonna compete with you, I'm not competing with my people around me. No, we all in the same spot, bro.
Mm-hmm.
So like me and you know, you do your thing, I do mine. I'm not gonna compete with you. I feel like we should be looking at these marks. You feel me?
Okay, because I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
Because with podcasting, you can carry your podcast only so far with one person, but it takes two. What you think?
I mean, it's hard to me to say anything about that because you already know I had like 10. I had like 8 podcasts and about 20 people. So,
but you don't think it take like a host and a co-host?
I don't think it do, but it's better.
Right.
You feel me? I feel it's better because take for instance when I had Crystal hosting with me, I didn't want to be embarrassed. You feel me? Something might go wrong. So you gotta imagine I had old girl Death Row, SKG. She was with Death Row. I had Derek on there. He was with Twister and Darkness, whole Triple Darkness. They still ride with me. I had what's my dog name? She was signed with Trina. She gonna kill me for this one. But I had a lot of people on there that was known. So here I go online, it's just me, right? And here go my shit fucking up. And that happened to me when I did a cat named, shout out to Benito. I don't say Benzino. Benito. If y'all ever look up Benito, he used to be with MC Hammer. And he wrote a lot of the songs and did a lot of the music with MC Hammer. Matter of fact, he stay in the same city that I'm in right now, where I work at rather. But I go online, Crystal, I told her, I said, I need you online, just in case. So she go online. Soon as we talking, everything good. Soon as it go live, mine start, he like, huh, I can't hear you. So mine cutting on, hers going good. So she kept it going. You feel me? She kept it going. I try to get back in. I come back in, it'll kick me back out. I go back. Now, if I'd have been by myself and didn't have that, I just scrapped that.
Yeah, scrap the whole interview. Yeah, it wouldn't even been no interview.
So a good backup.
Right, so it's good to have a co-host in this business.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah. And then she brought a different perspective. When Crystal first started, she had never did podcasts. When she did she ended up, that's when I started doing her own show, When Life Talks.
And you get the best of both worlds because I see you work with Crystal, then I see you work with Jeffrey Bulls. Yeah. So you deal with the women and you deal with the men. You know what I'm saying? You deal with the guys as well.
But see, at that time, I wanted to create a network, a podcast network. I feel we didn't have enough support. Remember, I told you the magazine was about support. Right. Because I felt like when I was an artist, we didn't have the support. So I wanted to support artists. You feel me? So when I put the magazine, which shout out to Bianca, you got it on the wall, that's much love. So when you got Thor magazine, my whole thing was a support system. Not that every artist was gonna be in it, but at least you could read about somebody. They got a similar story to tell. You feel me? So if they got a similar story to tell, you could say you could probably take some of their pieces out and say, this is what I'm gonna do, because I seen what stopped them. They might tell you some pitfalls in there. If you do all them, I done did thousands of literally thousands of interviews from 03, 04 when I first started to 2025 now. That's 20 something years. You feel me? You can go from Footy G, you can go from, my only one I regret was I didn't have Bones Candace in there. But you can go through and just look at everybody that's been in there from the time that I've been in there. They all got their own stories because I don't want anybody putting just something crazy in there. So I'm asking, just like you asking me, stuff from real heart. You feel me? So the thing is, I wanted you to be able to get a visual and be able to say, okay, this is what it is. This is what I can learn from it. And then when you get on there, hoping you do the same thing, because it might be a young cat looking to see what you doing. You feel me? So that was the whole thing with Thor. When Thor Magazine, Thor Media and Capital, I wanted to create something, and I always looked at it as, I might not make a dime, bro. But remember, when I started, it wasn't no podcast out. I ain't saying I birthed a lot of them. I ain't saying I did none of that type of stuff. It wasn't none out. You know what I mean? magazines, come on, what am I doing in the
You
magazine?
real humble.
Yeah, I mean,
You know, because some people just snatch their credit. You would rather give yours away.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I noticed that a lot about you. You know what I'm saying? I noticed that about you. You know what I'm saying? Because it ain't nothing wrong with that. You know what I'm saying? Ain't nothing wrong with that because you don't want people to take things personal. You don't want people to be slighted in any way.
That ain't what I'm
You know what I'm saying? If you know who Thawed Magazine is, you know who J Jack is, you know to give him his credit, man. What I wanted to ask you, man, because you've been doing it for so long, man. You've been in the media, you've been in entertainment. Give me one of your highlighted moments, man, of your media entertainment business, man, that you can share with us that you enjoyed the most. Like, was it an interview that you did with somebody? Was it a podcast that you done with somebody? You know, give me one of those moments, man, one of those highlighted moments, man, that you feel like was one of your highest moments, man, while you was doing this.
That's a lot of them, though. When I just thought about a lot of stuff, it'd be hard to put it all in one. Because, you know, I get some of my highest moments could come from a Sweet 16 party up to chilling with Lil Flip and talking to him about Arkansas and Michigan. Or it could came from going to Loud Music and chilling on the stage and talking to Zero Manager and Zero Manager and you know, it's a whole bunch of different things, even like talking to artists and being like, back in the days, and they'd be like, man, I need you to go on tour with me. Come to a show with me. Mm-hmm. Because again, I always say somebody, you need to find a spot that ain't nobody doing a lot of times. Mm-hmm. You feel me? So when you said that, I thought about the times when I would go to little clubs around here and artists would be like, man, they'd be happy to see me because they'd be like, hey, and they'd be like, bro, I'm going to do a show, so why don't you come with me? And I'm like, bro, I can't do that with no one artist. I got to do what I got to do. You know what I mean? Even going back to the Dayton family, because Bootleg had asked me, was it Bootleg? Yeah, Bootleg? Yeah, Bootleg had asked me to come do a show with him way back. This was like 15 to 16. And he wanted to do he liked the way I was doing the booklet at that time, so they wanted to do a Dayton family booklet. But at that time, I was kind of in my mind like silly though. I was too sacking all out. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I love Flint. You know what I mean? And I had people from Flint meet me. They would drive from Flint to the gas station. I forgot his name was King Crow. Or there was a couple people from Flint. They would drive there just to meet me or go so they could get the issue. You feel me? And they'd be like, is this what I want to do? Mm-hmm. I want my Saginaw people to. But at the time, like my Saginaw people wasn't reaching out as much.
Right.
I would have to
you
go
had
after
a lot
them.
of out-of-town people.
While I'm going after them, the out-of-towners coming to me. Right. You feel me? So that's when I got frustrated at one time around 2000, right when the hype was ending. And I remember, shout out to Tutu, Draymond moms. That's my wife's cousin. She had told me, she said, home is where the heart is, but that don't mean that's where you got to stay at. You feel me? So at that time, I was fighting not doing nothing outside of Saginaw. Everything I wanted to do was Saginaw. And that's when it started, where it was like, okay. And that's how I became with Susie Soprano. Shout out to Susie Soprano. That's why she got on the cover of my, first it was Cuddles. Shout out to Cuddles Hopkins and OJ Walker. They were the first two on the first Thawed. And then after that, it was Susie Soprano. And then now after that, it was HBK Boom. So this next issue was Skylife, who was Mo 3's publicist. So every time I was going, it was somebody else wanting to be on it that was like up in the echelon into the industry. You feel me? But again, that's when mine's passed a couple months ago where I shut it down and didn't do nothing. So I kind of I fell back and I stopped my momentum a little bit. So a lot of times we get in our way of ourselves. And I got in the way of myself when my mom died. And then I really almost said, forget this. Because a lot of times value is created by us. That magazine had a lot of value to me. But at one point in time, after my mom died, I had no value for it. You feel me? So now I'm back into creating that value. So it's love because it's the first time when you say, come on through, I didn't really want to. I ain't been on the line. I ain't talked much. I barely been online as far as anything. But shout out to you because you was like, come on. So here I go. And we back at it, knocking the ice back off. Who knows? Be like, damn, we back at it. You might see me dropping a whole bunch of stuff right back out.
And that's what it takes us to be there for each other, man, because I done been like that, and I'd have Mike Donald call me like, man, you know, I done missed the interview, man. I need you to jump online with me. You know what I'm saying? And we gotta be be there for each other like that, man, because this is our job, man. This is what we do. What I wanted to ask you though is, like I say, you've been doing it for a long time, man. You know, you're a deity in the community with Thought Magazine. What's one of the greatest lessons, man, that you learned in this business that stick with you today that you may teach somebody else?
Man, always learn. You know what I mean? Always learn. You know what I mean? I don't give, excuse my language, but
you all right? You can cuss over it.
For sure. But never. I don't care what they do with this AI shit. They can put AI to make it so they change, so it wipe your butt. Never forget to wipe your arm. You feel me? So that's the main thing. Because I don't care how much you gotta learn. If they did the videos for you, always learn just in case something happened with that. You can't do it no more. I was always self-sufficient. You feel me? As far as that, all I needed was a program, and I could do everything I needed to do. If I didn't have Facebook and YouTube, I was still going around on the blocks and pushing out my magazine before they had Facebook and YouTube. When we had just MySpace, I was able to go hand to hand and pass it around. You feel me? And go and talk to people. So I wasn't just dependent on being in the house and just having to promote online. I was always face-to-face kind of cat. So I remember going around on cats, and I don't care if it was 4th and Kirk, Burt, South Side. I've been on every side. I walked up on groups of people when they look at me like they want to do me in. After, hey, bro, hey, I just got this, bro. Chill out. You know what I mean? You know? But somehow you got to. You can't, you got to keep learning. You got to keep not being, because that's just going to make you stronger. Right. If you know all of that, plus AI can, and you can.
This is what I say. This is what I say about learning. You gotta continue to learn every day because knowledge is flipping every like 15 to 20 minutes. Now then we got this AI, the technology is speeding so fast, and you gotta try to keep up with it. So the information that you learned last week is becoming stale in the next week. So information that you done learned when you was in college, information that you done learned when you was in high school, information that you done learned in 2000. When you try to put that information together sometimes in the 2025, it don't work because you haven't updated your computer system. It takes time to, just like a real computer, you have to update your mental computer system because if you don't, what happens is that you have outdated information that don't match up with today's world and today's circumstances. So what he's doing, he's telling you right by keep learning because the more you keep learning, the more you will have the tools that you need to get done with whatever you're trying to do.
And you know, on the piggyback on that, now you gotta imagine that I've been in the rap game since '98. I started rapping in '85. From '98, when we did my first studio album, probably around 2000, which me, Poke, and Dash had them in Circuit City, Media Play. We had it around here. At that time, a lot of local artists. It was a spot for a lot of Day One, and you know, we all had spots. But you gotta imagine from that point in time till now of how many people I've seen come and go. You feel me? Some same people come and go. My age range under. You feel me? Come and go. For some reason, I still am relevant with Thought Magazine or whatever I've done, podcasts, whatever. And it's because I had to learn. I had to keep learning. When I was doing Thought, the Hype magazine, it's different than Thought. You feel me? It's different. So that I had to learn and keep on adjusting. And then there's always somebody else younger coming up. So it got to a point where now, I remember when I had the media game on lock. Now you got cats that I ain't got it on lock. I know I don't. People ain't just paying attention to me no more. Mine might not get nobody now. You know what I mean? And you got to understand that it's a lot more podcasts going on. There's certain podcasts I watch and some that I don't. You know what I mean? I try to watch as many as I can, not to learn from them, but I just like to see what other people doing. And I'm always that type of cat. I want to know.
But it is the new information.
It's the new information.
It's the new information.
And see, me, you, we knew this. A lot of people catching on to that. You know what I mean? I knew that back in way back.
Yeah, they say they taking books away. They taking books out of school. So I love the thing about these podcasts is so many aspects of it, so many different. You got sports podcasts, you got philosophy podcasts, you got economic podcasts, you got You got entertainment podcasts and
so many apps, so many lanes.
Yeah, the knowledge is out there. Mm-hmm. You just gotta find a way to tap into it.
There's so many different lanes, and I love the creativity. And like I say, when I started the magazine, it wasn't like I felt like I was gonna make $1 million. I knew it wasn't. But my thing was, like Pac said one time, where I might spur the brain cell of the person that might need.
Right.
You feel me?
Right.
So in Saginaw, I know a lot of people. I've had quite a few people that's done it that say I was the blueprint. They'll tell me I was the blueprint, and I mean I'd be like, that's love, because everybody ain't got to tell me nothing. I don't look for nobody to tell me nothing. Mm-hmm. But I've seen other magazines that come in and say, woo, woo, woo. You know what I mean? Shout out to Cuddy too. He doing his thing. Mm-hmm. I seen people that come up and show or give respect and love. Then I seen some that don't, and they using, or I can see what I did in theirs. Now, mind you, I almost felt like, say, Cheese and World Star took some of my stuff. That's how I feel. Mm-hmm. That's how much I was doing back then. You feel me? But at the same time, I wasn't reaching or didn't have my mind state to reach a lot of people. Mm-hmm. When you get that mentality, you encapsulate yourself. Mm-hmm. And when I started getting more views and getting more people, it's because I felt like I could reach out. Mm. I didn't mind. So when I went to talk to cats from Rap A Lot Midwest, it ain't like I look at you and be like, oh shit, man, that's Rap A Lot. Nah, bro, what's up? Mm-hmm. I go to Texas, what's up? I stand out there. I went to Little Rock one time, Little Rock, Arkansas, didn't know not a soul for a Little Baby concert. Ended up being on stage. You know what I mean? Because I went there, didn't know nobody. I look at them, some tough cats up there. I look. By the end of the stage, I looked as.
But you had a strategy to get Thawed magazine up there.
I feel like I come from Saginaw.
Right,
I on every block in Saginaw. What am I worried about this for?
Right.
You feel me?
Right. Yeah. I gotta get up on stage with Lil Baby. I gotta try to get this interview.
Bro, you watch that, you gonna see me right behind him with all the cats that was recording. Right. And I had to be there on that one because it was Lil Baby and it was Bankroll Freddie. He from that area. Bankroll was getting his chain at that day. He got his QT chain at that time. So, you know, I went on up there, hey, bro. And I used to go, but that's how I was used to do. My mind state was,
right.
You know what I mean?
And sometimes you have to, like I say, sometimes you have to be forceful. You know what I'm saying? You have to step on a couple toes, you know what I'm saying, to get with, because in this business, man, people, you can't be soft. You know what I'm saying? Especially when you in the crowd like that, you at the concerts and you trying to get them visuals. Man, listen, you got to go through some people, man, finesse some people. And
it's stressful, bro.
Yeah.
It's stressful. You know, I don't tell my age, but yeah, I'm up there. You know, when you get to this point, it get to the point where you start thinking like, do I really want to keep doing this? Is it worth it?
What keep you going?
Bro, it's hard to say, bro. At one point in time, which I know I don't have to worry about now, is I always want to see one person from Saginaw make it. And I done seen that. I've seen some people from Saginaw do great things, you know what I mean? Shout out to Rush D, shout out to Cuddles, you know what I mean? It's some other cats, you know what I mean? It's HBK Boom doing this thing. And you know, at one point in time, when before that, it wasn't like that. So it was like now you can see it and you can see people growing. And I love the young girls doing their things, you know, the guys doing their thing. And it's just like, I almost feel like I can be like, I'm good. I can disappear and everybody keep rolling. And they ain't even think nothing about the hype or the thought, or they just be like, you know what I mean? But then there's sometimes where I stop for a little while and I can see the momentum stop.
So what do you want Thawed legacy to be?
Man, that's a good one though right there. That's a good one. That's a tough one. I mean, to me, it ain't what I want Thawed to be. It's what I want people to have in their minds of Thawed. You feel me? I always feel like you're only as big as the seeds you plant in each person's head. It's kind of tough. It's a tough way of thinking on it. But if I can get 100 people to think positively about Thawed and think how Thawed great he is, they might spread it out to another 100. And they might spread it to another 100, and they gonna make the visual of what Thawed is, no matter what I force. Because even if I force it and only one person believe it, it don't mean nothing if I'm the only one that believe it. You feel me?
Like that philosophy. So we want to thank J Jack for coming in, giving us this great interview and sharing us sharing with us his journey, his story about Thought Magazine, you know what I'm saying, the Hype Magazine, his media production, and, you know, just sharing his life with us, you know. We want to wish you much prosperity on your mission, man, and you know, just stay, you know, just keep going on your journey, man. Don't give up. You know what I'm saying? Don't give up. We need you, J Jack.
Man, I love those.
We need you. And make sure don't let one of y'all out there give up. I know you get to points at times in your life where you feel like you want to give up, but you just got to keep going. You just got to keep going. So when you feel like you want to give up in your most trying time, just keep going. Be comfortable with the uncomfortable. I want to thank you guys for tuning in to another edition. I want to thank J Jack for coming in for this interview. And thank you guys for tuning in to another edition of Yacht Life Chronicles, where we are better together than separated. Thank you guys for tuning in.
Much love.